I'm a very big fan of Stanley Kubrick, the film director. He's best known for The Shining, 2001 Space Odyssey, Full Metal Jacket, Doctor Strangelove, Barry Lyndon, Eyes Wide Shut, Spartacus. Done some fantastic movies. As far as I'm concerned, one of the best directors ever to be a director. And the lore and mythology behind Stanley Kubrick is, compared to any other director, there might be a couple directors, like I know Herzog gets a lot of praise, but maybe Spielberg, but in my opinion, anyone after Stanley Kubrick doesn't hold a candle to Kubrick. And there are directors before that deserve a lot of credit too, that Stanley Kubrick got influenced by. But as far as I'm concerned, for the body of work he's done, I don't think any director can touch him. But I want to talk about a couple of movies of his. You have 2001 Space Odyssey, which Stanley Kubrick absolutely worked with NASA, and that's pretty well known fact, to get some actually I'm pretty sure they worked on a camera for him, or they only had a certain type of camera that he used. Can't remember how that played out, but it's documented that Stanley Kubrick and NASA put their heads together to help create 2001 Space Odyssey. And if you watch The Shining, the little boy, Danny, in the movie has an Apollo 11 sweater on that he wears in the movie. And Kubrick is it's a conspiracy that Kubrick may have filmed the lunar landing for Apollo 11. So why he chose to have that little boy wearing the sweater of Apollo 11 in The Shining is theorized that was his way of saying that he had something to do with Apollo 11 missions. So that's anybody can go down that rabbit hole. It's an interesting one. But the other movie I know he worked with the government was Doctor Strangelove. It's all about a nuclear war scenario. It's a very odd movie, but a great movie. And it's like, what would the government do in this scenario? And it's a little outlandish, but very well done. So there's 3 movies of his that I know for a fact 2 of them he definitely works with the government on. And then you can go down Full Metal Jacket. It's all about war, and I would assume he definitely had some Vietnam influence, and why he's making that movie. You have Eyes Wide Shut. That's all about the elites doing these rituals, and I can go off on that, but so there's a clear theme of government themes in at least, even in Barry Lyndon, it's all about the Revolutionary War. So again, there's multiple movies of his that are themed about either elites or government type themes. The reason I'm bringing it up is because this movie, Leave the World Behind, which I have not seen, but I have seen plenty of breakdowns of what the movie's saying and the plot of the movie, so I'm pretty familiar with it. The thing I have yet to see anyone point out is Leave the World Behind starts exactly the same way 2001 Space Odyssey starts, and it's a solar eclipse. So if you watch 2001 Space Odyssey, the very first image of the movie is a solar eclipse over the United States. And from what I can tell, that's exactly what Leave the World Behind is saying, or is showing also in the very first shot of the movie. It's a solar eclipse. So both movies start with a solar eclipse. It's pretty well known by now that Obama is the executive producer of Leave the World Behind. So it is definitely the case that two movies spanning, I know 2001 Space Odyssey was in the 60s, and now we're in 2023, technically 2024. So spanning quite a bit of time, 60 something years that are worked on by the government. 2001 Space Odyssey was worked on by NASA, and Leave the World Behind in 2023 was worked on by an ex-president. So they both start the same way, with the solar eclipse. Now, to me, that can't be an accident. I know the scene from 2001 Space Odyssey is one of the most well-known scenes. There's clearly influence from the director of Leave the World Behind. He's definitely influenced by Stanley Kubrick. Even in this movie, even in Leave the World Behind, the little girl also has a NASA shirt on throughout the movie. So, I know NASA shirts, you can buy them at Walmart and all that crap, but there had to be a reason why they had that little girl wear the NASA shirt. And to me, it's alluding to Stanley Kubrick, who has the little boy wearing the NASA Apollo 11 shirt. Stanley Kubrick was huge about details in the background. Like, if you watch a Kubrick movie, any scene that there's a painting in, or if you watch the details in the background, they're all there for a reason. They're all symbolic. And yeah, I've heard, I've heard he was so anal about certain details. So as far as anyone can tell, there is no accident in any of his background scenes. Everything he films is very specifically put in that film. So if you watch Leave the World Behind, throughout the movie, there's like 4 or 5 different areas in the house where there's paintings. And if you watch throughout that movie, these paintings are they change throughout the movie. It's not the easiest thing to see. You have to pay attention to it, but the paintings will change slightly throughout the movie. If you're not paying attention to it, you probably wouldn't notice it. But again, that would have to be specifically done. And to me, it's telling you to watch the background. And that is a Kubrick move. So much can be said about the influence on any director, but let alone but specifically for this movie, the director is the same guy that did the TV series Mr. Robot, and I thought that was actually a great series. It was one of the last ones I've really got into. I didn't see how it ended, but it was a pretty great show, and it's all about cyber attacks. It's all about cyber attacks and basically ways to stop, or basically how anyone can basically change the system with just a computer. So it's all about hacking and cyber attacks. All that's what Mr. Robot's all about. Go figure, that's the plot of, as far as anyone can tell, in Leave the World Behind, is that it's a cyber attack. So where I'm going with this is that clearly the government is influencing Hollywood. That shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, but they're making it very well known that they are also paying attention to eclipses. If you know anything about the Apollo 11 missions, whether you believe it happened or not, or you believe the conspiracy or not, it is a fact that Buzz Aldrin and God, why can't I think of the other one? The main guy, Neil Armstrong, were Freemasons. They also did a Masonic ritual right as they were in the lunar module before they actually stepped out onto the surface of the moon, if you believe they did that. But it is not a secret that they did a Masonic ritual. I've heard it was an Osiris ritual also. So that can be debated, but they definitely did a ritual. And then if you watch, Eyes Wide Shut, done by Stanley Kubrick, clearly elites doing rituals. So there seems to be multiple connections going on here to the elites paying attention to solar events and ritualistic activities. I do think it is alluded to in Leave the World Behind also. So to me, it's pretty clear that not only is the government paying attention to solar events, they're absolutely doing ritualistic activities around these times. That really isn't, shocking to me. It's pretty much the study of what I've been into over the last 9-10 years by now. So it's definitely not shocking, but what I'm trying to say is the evidence is pretty clear. They're not even hiding it anymore. And going forward, they don't have to. They don't have to hide anything anymore. They could just tell us straight up. Because most people don't give a crap enough to even really care. But I do find it interesting that they're making it really well known right now. So to me, it's like one or two things. Either they have to, if you watch what that movie's all about, Leave the World Behind, it's pretty clear that they're making it, we have to do the work for them. We have to go crazy so they can just clean up the mess when it's all said and done. They're clearly dividing us as a nation to, to do the dirty work for them. They make us go crazy and they don't even have to do the work. It's so easy for them with media and every aspect of what we're into nowadays with entertainment. Back in the 60s, they only had like 3 or 4 channels, so they had to be real coy about their subliminal messaging. Now there's so many ways for them to get subliminal messaging in our head. So they really don't even have to hide it anymore. So what I am trying to theorize is that, I've been very curious on how this is going to play out in 2024. It's definitely the time frame that I've been waiting for. I've made other videos about this subject, that there was a solar eclipse in 2017 and 2020 and 2021, I want to say, one of those. I know there's a series of 3 solar eclipses. 2017 would be the start of that. Pretty sure the next one was 2020, maybe 2019, and then April of 2024 this year. There will be a 3rd American solar eclipse. America, specifically in America, that would be the 3rd one over the last 7 years. Meaning only America can see this solar eclipse. There's plenty of other solar eclipses that have happened, but not where Americans can see it. And what I was always under the theory is that it's a 7-year span to where you really got to get what you need mentally and physically, spiritually, to withstand what is coming in 2024 after that. Sorry, this is horrible. After that 7-year period. And we are entering that in April. So, to me, that's... damn it. To me, that's very telling that they have to have that solar eclipse in the beginning of Leave the World Behind. I don't know what year that movie takes place in, which would be a good question if I could ask anybody what year the movie Leave the World Behind actually is supposed to be set in. Is it current day or future or whatever? But in that movie, it's clear that they're making everybody go crazy by just turning off the internet and not allowing people to talk to each other. Very COVID-esque move. The only difference was in COVID, we could still go on the internet. But if they would have took the internet away during that time, things would have been a lot different. Nobody would have known what to do. So just really think about that. Really think about, if you cannot get any information on what is going on, how do you think that would play out? And that's kind of what the movie is trying to tell you in Leave the World Behind. Very, very messed up stuff, if you ask me, because there's a couple brilliant parts of that movie that I have never heard anyone really mention. So for them to go as far as like having all the Teslas strategically placed to where you can't exit certain areas. Like in the movie, all the Teslas block the highways, so you can't get on the highway to get out of the area to get to another town. That's a brilliant thing for someone to come up with that, let alone put that in a movie. So there has to be somebody that has really thought about how this could go down to put that in a movie. I watch conspiracy stuff all the time, and I've never heard that Teslas could be autopiloted to block suburbs and get people to not leave their town. There's so much more I'd like to say about that movie, and hopefully this came out clear to what I'm trying to say. But if I upload anything more than 20 minutes, it's going to take me forever. So thank you. Take care.